Before I go into the story, I just want to say that this isn't about me. This isn't about my experience. Y'all need to see how deaf and blind some Canadians choose to be through this story. Okay, here we go. On August 1st, I attended the Emancipation Day March with my dear friend Sabrina, and after the march, we grabbed some food and we parted ways. So I was waiting for the streetcar to come, and I was basically holding the sign, like not hold, but like carrying it with my hand. To my right, there was this father and a kid, and the father saw the sign and he said, "Oh, I'm Jewish, my wife's Asian, so our kid's Asian Jew like you," but I couldn't tell because of all the face coverings. And to that, I just said, "Oh wow, whatever, fine." Like internally, I was saying, y'all shouldn't be racially profiling people without face coverings. But I didn't say any of that because I hate talking to strangers and I didn't want to start a fight. So I kept my mouth shut. So the father asked me where I was off to, and I said, "Oh, I attended the Emancipation Day March, so I'm just going home." And he basically said, "Oh, were you with that organization? I was at the Queen's Park too. I was joining the anti-mask protest. Yeah, we are anti-maskers. Ha 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 ha." Thank goodness that I had my mask on because my jaw dropped and my face was literally like, Okay, so going back in time a bit. So the march's final destination was Queen's Park. And as we were walking towards Queen's Park, we saw a bunch of people like, already there. And we're like, what the? And as we got closer, we realized that they didn't have masks. So we were like, oh shit, we have these anti-maskers. Okay, well, let's, mind our own business and just avoid them and go. But one of the anti-mask people, she had the signs that like "Sue China," really racist stuff, which my friend clocked, but we didn't say anything to that person because we were just minding our own business. So yeah, we just ignored them and finished our march peacefully. Anyways, this video is not about anti-maskers. It actually gets worse. So he didn't stop there, and he basically said, "Oh, Toronto's like better than like other cities or countries, like let them deal with their own racism," like that kind of stuff. So he was basically denying the existence of Black, Indigenous, and marginalized community of people who are getting killed by police or harassed, discriminated, and oppressed by the systemic racism that surely exists in Canada, and just racism, injustice, and hatred that exist in the city. Has he not been checking the news? Has he not heard about Regis, Levi, or other people killed by Toronto Police Services or just Mounties? They need to read the Ontario Human Rights Commission's report on Black people being disproportionately arrested, charged, subjected to use of force by Toronto Police. They seriously need to read that. But at that time, I just froze and said, Toronto has their own issues, like police brutality and shit. And then there's this white lady who was talking to the kid-father duo, like, way before they were talking to me. So, like, she saw what was going on and, like, kind of came towards me, and she saw the sign, Asian Jew against racism, and basically came up to me and said, "Why does it specifically have to be Asian Jew against racism, not everyone against racism?" You know what? That is true. We all should be fighting against racism. That is very true. Congratulations. But shut the fuck up and listen to me for a second. So when I started making the sign, I actually started on the other side because I'm really vulgar and I like talking about gentilias. So once this was done, I said I need to write something serious that has to come from me. Something that represented where I'm coming from when it comes to racism. So I thought, okay, Asian Jew against racism, because that's me, because I'm Asian Jew and I don't tolerate racism. But at the same time, I did think it was really selfish of me to be like, yes, this Asian Jews against racism at this march, and try to think of something else to write. But I really needed to show my solidarity and say I don't tolerate this. Even though Toronto is considered to be one of the most diverse cities in the world, racism is deeply embedded in our systems, everyday life, and even in our minds. I wanted to say that it's a battle that everyone needs to fight. So how dare she invalidate my background, my beliefs, and my thoughts? Again, I froze and kind of ignored her because there was this gentleman right in front of me who was asking me about what I wrote here, which is Shinsobetsuhanta, which basically means no racism in Japanese. So I was kind of ignoring her, and I was talking to a guy, and she said, I teach human rights to kids and I usually have a book on me. Basically indicating that I need to be educated. Guess what, ma'am? I am fully aware that I need to be educated because I'm one privileged girl. Okay? I am aware of how little I know when it comes to groups of marginalized people have to go through every day. That's why I attend these protests, marches, and rallies, so that I can listen to those people who are being oppressed. Definitely not to you, ma'am. Nicholas Rose, an amazing dancer and artist who was actually one of the speakers at the march, said that this, Canadian toxic positivity on, oh, like Canada, we're so perfect, we're in utopia, racism doesn't exist here. No, that, we need to ditch that, honey. Canada, let's face the reality. Racism is definitely here. And there's no, oh, we're less racist than somebody or somewhere, or, oh, they're more racist than us. No, 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 no. A spectrum of racism does exist, so basically this being saying racist things because you're dumb, this being people getting killed because of racism. And we cannot say because we're not at this end, it is okay because we're just here. No, 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 it doesn't work like that. We have to dismantle this whole spectrum of racism. This spectrum, it exists in our system, and it certainly exists in me. That's why I keep fighting against it by listening to people, learning about things, and attending these marches. That's when the streetcar came and I started texting my friends, and they all told me that what they did was really invalidating and horrendous. And after I got off the streetcar, so I was holding the sign again, right? And someone honked at me and I was like, why? And then when I turned to that direction, the driver, they're smiling so hard and they gave me this like huge thumbs up, and I was just like, why should I listen to people who try to invalidate me where I need to be listening to people who are actually being oppressed, harassed, and discriminated? So yeah, my experience is very small. It's nothing compared to what Black, Indigenous, and group of marginalized people have to go through every day. But with this small, tiniest incident, you can see how some people in Toronto or in Canada choose to be deaf and blind when it comes to racism. So I'm mad at myself for like being frozen and not speaking up against those people. But I'm still mad at those too. Not just because of what they said to me, but because of what they could have said or done to other people. Also, my friend pointed out that the father and the lady, they're both in a position of teaching the future generations about these kind of subjects. So what kind of influences could they have on those kids? It's scary, isn't it? We all have to face the reality and collectively dismantle racism. I'll keep fighting against racism as an Asian Jew at this time. So yeah, kids, stay safe. Bye.